So, in this video, I wanted to break down my main build that I've been running on for a majority of the past few seasons. If you frequent the rec center, then you may want to think about giving this build a try, but honestly yo, this build is viable in any game mode you find yourself in, as it is a legit 5-level threat. And defensively, he is nothing to sneeze at either. But I'm not going to hold you any longer, let's get right into the build. Of course, as you know, first name, last name doesn't matter. For the handedness, I went with left for obvious reasons. And then for the jersey number, I went with 44 in honor of my fourth favorite player, Mr. Clutch, the logo himself, Jerry West. Moving on to where things start to actually matter a bit, the measurables. You already know the position is going to be a point guard. For the height, we went with 6 foot 6 inches. And then for the weight, we went with 222 pounds. And the wingspan is going to be 6'11". So you don't even have to make any changes to the wingspan. You can just leave it where it's at. Now, getting into the build, I'm going to start out at the bottom with the physicals. I went with a 95 for the stamina in order to get that gold workhorse and 94 feet, which both require 95 in the stamina. That's kind of a no-brainer. For the vertical, I have it at a 55. It's probably 1 or 2 points higher than where it should be, honestly, as this build is a below the rim player. And then for the strength, we went with an 82. That's going to give us that silver immovable force, and it just helps out overall on defense, especially when defending in the paint. For acceleration, we went with an 84. That's going to give you that gold slippery off ball. And then for the speed, I just bumped it up to an 83. I usually go with like an 84, 85 for my point guards, but I had to make a couple of sacrifices in order to get everything that I wanted. So I felt like 83 was a respectable medium for the way that I play. And then as you can see with these physicals right here, you're going to be pretty much able to keep up with most players. Obviously, them smaller guards are going to give you a little bit of difficulty, but they ain't going into the paint anyway, so you can just hands up them. Moving on to the defense and rebounding category. For defensive rebounding, we went with a 46, which is the minimum that you need in order to get our interior defense to where we got it. Because trust and believe, if I could, I would go with less. Me personally, I don't believe in rebounding on a point guard. That ain't your job. If you are down there, you should be boxing people out. And if you do happen to get a lucky bounce, then that's what's up. But offensive rebounding, we didn't even touch. Skipped right over that. For blocks, same thing, it's at a 36, and that's only because interior defense pulls it up. Now, for the steals, I went with a 51. I probably could have took off a couple of points here, but messing around with the builders, I had my perimeter defense up higher than it is now, so that pulled it up to the 51, and I forgot to take those points off, so that's on me. But then moving on to the perimeter defense, I ended up going with an 88 for this build. All you really need is an 87 for that gold challenger, but with the 88, my thinking was I'll get the gold 94 feet, and that'll help me on defense as I'm the point guard and I want to cause havoc in the back court, which it does help, so I'm not gonna lie. But if I could go back, I probably would go with just an 87. And then for the interior defense, I bumped that sucker all the way up to a 76. Being that I have no blocks or steals in this build, I wanted to be able to at least hold my own down there with some hands up defense. This way, you're gonna have to work if you're another guard trying to score in the paint. And at 74, we do get bronze post lockdowns. Moving on to the playmaking category, and here I wasn't looking for anything too special. I ain't big into the whole dribble god lifestyle, though I have been trying to dip my toe in there lately. But really here, I just wanted to be able to do a dribble move or two and go. So for the speed with ball, I went with a 77, and that gave me access to that gold triple strike, which as a bigger guard, you'll probably be starting a lot of your offense out of the triple threat. So it's nice, and the boost that you get from it is surprisingly a lot better than I thought it would be. For the ball handle, I went with an 84, mainly for silver blow-bys. But all you really need here, in my opinion, especially for us bigger guards, is an 83 so that you can get the Jamal Murray behind the back. Other than that, there are plenty of dribbles moves that only require like a 75 to 80 ball handle. So if you know what you're doing out there, you can definitely make that work. But for this build, I went with an 84. And then we have pass accuracy, which I went with an 89 for that Halliburton pass style, which is easily the best in the game. And then also we get bailout on bronze, which is always a clutch badge. And then you get some really nice gold level quality of life passing badges like dimer, relay passer, special delivery, break starter, post playmaker, just to name a few, you know? So if you are trying to be a pass first point guard, 89 is probably the best overall rating to go, in my opinion. Unless you really was looking to be a demon with the passing, then I would probably say go 91 just to get that silver bailout, and then a couple of those badges will get bumped up to Hall of Fame like special delivery and post playmaker. But you know, that's a decision for you to make. Moving on though, we have the shooting category. Starting with the free throw, I went with an 82, but honestly, this is a waste stat because if you got a good animation that you know, you can easily hit relatively consistently with a 60 to 70 rating. For the 3-point rating, I went with an 85, which gives you access to bronze limitless, which I rarely ever use, and gold corner specialist, which is a nice quality of life shooting badge, so I don't mind it. But for me, since day one, I had an 85-3 on all my builds, so I just kind of kept it there. Probably could bump it down a little bit. And then for your mid-range, for this build, I went with a 92, mainly for the MIDI Magician Hall of Fame. But if you're not really a big MIDI kind of guy, you can definitely bump this down. I would say to at least a 90, just so you can get all those good shooting badges. But with my 92, I do have access to all gold shooting badges. Even if you don't want to be a shot creator or MIDI Magician Assassin, going with a high MIDI and a low 3-pointer is kind of like a cheat code to help you to shoot better. But moving on to the finishing category. Personally, I left a lot of this stuff empty, and the only 2 things that I actually did increase was my post control. Obviously, I mean, I'm an old head, so you know I had to have some post control on my builds. I put that at a 92 for obvious reasons, that gold unpluckable. And with having it so high, I also get access to gold drop stepper, Hall of Fame dream shake, and Hall of Fame post fade phenom, as well as post spin technician. So if you're trying to, save a couple of points here or there, and you don't want to maybe go with that 92 ball handle, but you do need gold unpluckable for your build, definitely think about investing in post control, because it's maybe one overall point difference going from 0 post control to a 92. So that's another hidden gem for you guys, which I'm sure everybody already knew. And then the other stat I put points into, driving lay. Obviously, we're putting that at a 91 because that's going to give us that gold slithery finisher, which matches beautifully with all of the other gold and Hall of Fame finishing badges that you get, like gold fearless finisher, Hall of Fame giant slayer, acrobat, float game, pro touch, and scooper. If you know how to finish, that's all you really need. And plus, you save a hell of a lot of points by not having driving dunk on your build. That's how I was able to get this right here. So think about maybe perhaps on your next build saying the hell with driving dunk as well. And then lastly, of course, we have the 71 close shot, which is only at where it's at because that's what you needed for the 91 driving lay. So this is my build that I've been running on for the most part, probably the last 4 or 5 videos. Now, hindsight is 2020. So if I could go back and make any changes to the build, I would definitely go and take 2 away from the vertical, dropping that down to a 53. And it won't even affect anything else because it was too high to begin with. Same thing with the steal. Dropping that from a 51 down to a 48 is gonna save us some points. Same thing with the interior defense. Take that bad boy down to a 74. You don't lose any badges by making any of these moves that I'm talking about, but we get more points to put elsewhere and gain other badges. So it was probably a late night when I made this build. That's what it had to have been. But I would also take 1 away from perimeter defense, like we were saying. Gold 94 feet is not worth it. All you need to play good perimeter defense is an 87 with gold challenger. And I also took back that point from steal, so that's down to a 47. And now here, with these extra points that we have, you could either go for that 91 pass act that we were talking about earlier, or what I would probably do, bumping that ball handle up to an 88 so I can get a couple of better dribble animation. I now have access to silver killer combos, and in order to do that, I had to also take those 2 crazy points away for free throw that I added over there. So this is what the build's final form should and would look like if I felt like going back and making any changes. But as you can see from all the clips on screen, this build gets it in rec, park, theater, event center. If you're looking for an off-meta point guard build, or it's a little bit different from the rest, then definitely think about giving this one a try. And if you do, send me a screenshot of some of your clips. I'd love to see how y'all did with this build. But till the next time we speak, luck out. Peace.